The last that we covered was the fifth verse, where he stated that the divine nature is deemed for liberation, whereas the demoniac nature are nibandhaya for bondage, the divine are vimokshaya for liberation. Grieve not, you are born of the divine nature. A message which Lord gives to Arjuna, assuring that the fact that you are receptive to these higher ideas, the fact that you consider to pursue this higher goal of liberation, you are divine. To the extent you are sattvic, to that extent you are of the divine. You tap that divinity in you. You allow the divinity to express through your actions. But the moment you allow the rajasic and tamasic qualities to overpower you, to dictate you, to drive you into action, then it brings the worst, which is the which is of the demoniac qualities. So, in that context, in the last satsang, we gave a question: how do we explain the term bondage and liberation, both from a relative point of view and an absolute point of view? I always stated it's very easy to mention from an absolute point of view, but rather it demands a little bit of application to answer anything from a relative point of view. So I'm sure, if not all, some of you have pondered on this. So I will leave the floor open for any answers. Explain the term bondage and liberation from relative and absolute. So firstly, you can answer from relative and then talk from an absolute point. Yes, Pushpama, good to see. She always takes a back seat, but today she's taking the lead.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Namaskar. Yes, Hari Om.
These are some of my thoughts, Guruji. Bondage is identification with what you are not. That is involvement of yourself. Ragadvesha, too much of involvement in self. I am perfect, I am good. Action with attachment creates a reaction that pulls you back. In bondage, we mistake temporary for the permanent. In bondage, there is anger, jealousy, fear of future, feeling alone, though we have everything. Liberation is not quitting life. It is acting in the world, but not being owned by it. By nishkama karma, that is duty without attachment, that results. Example, bondage is like a wave, thinking it as separate, but it is part of the ocean. Spiritual practice, by spiritual practice, meditation, self-inquiry, service, surrender is the process of losing these knots. For moksha, he who detaches himself from the influence of the grass, subtle and causal bodies and meditate upon the Supreme Self, within becomes one with the Self, the all-knowing, all-pervading reality. That is moksha. Lastly, sense it is not easy to have no bondage. Family, organizations, or anywhere, we cannot work without bondage. Only we can try for not having extensive attachment, which leads to pain and suffering. Attachment is the life force which operates for the human existence. But some amount of selfishness to attain moksha is necessary. Because of bondage, sorrow is caused due to demonical nature. I don't know whether it is correct or not. Guruji, don't say.
After having said all, now you say, I don't say anything. This is very unfair on you. It is not like an answer. It looks like a thesis where she has done a whole research on it. Now, please, we are all, I know you are a doctorate PhD in psychology, and now you will have to confer very soon doctorate in philosophy also. We are all little, we know here and there little bit we talk. Please don't reveal our ignorance and limitations to us. This is very,
Guruji,
very bad on you. From next time, we will not give a chance for you to say anything.
Guruji, I'm a research assistant here, not.
See, reality is coming out slowly. The research part, all that is coming out. I really wish you went a little slow, but I don't know how many of them took finer note of the points. I think you have touched on the salient aspects and beautifully covered, I would say. Obviously, you have not spelt the difference from a relative and absolute. I think still we will. I would still desire to know from others, but however, you have spelled out the salient aspects and much to ponder over. Much appreciated, ma. Thank you. Thank you. Any more inputs? Yes, Setuji, please.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om.
Bondage from a relative point of view is, we are all in samsara and we all have obligations and our own profession and all that. So whatever bondage in this terrestrial activities is, getting identified with whatever we are doing and getting passionate about things what we are doing. So this is all this leads to bondage, and we are sort of unknowingly we are binded to whatever we are doing, and we think that's the good thing to be passionate and committed to activities, but it is attachment. Attachment leads to bondage in relative, and liberation from a relative point of view is being obligatory, whatever the duties we are doing, at the same time we are being dispassionate, doing with the yajna spirit, and not being attached to whatever we are doing. We are always at peace and happy and joyful in our activities. So that is a relative point of view. And absolute point of view is, that is transcendental. When we become egolessness, desirelessness, when there is a longing for moksha in each of us, which comes to the fore as we become more and more sattvic and getting, moksham, or getting out of all these transcendental activities, terrestrial activities, this leads to liberation. Bondage again in absolute is even getting bonded to the idol or bonded to the guru or bonded to the, even in the last step, like that pole vault, you are getting still bonded at the last instance to this thing. You may be thinking you have become enlightened, but you are still bondage stops at the last instance. So in brief, I was not really, since I didn't attend class, I went through the review, but this last question I missed. I just extemporally sharing whatever.
Spot on. Much appreciated. I know you brought out a few points which maybe Pushpama mentioned or not. I can't quickly recall. But the highlight is you mentioned about obligatory duties, right? So, in the relative sense, we get bound to our own duties, thinking we are doing the right thing, but actually we are extremely attached. A person could be attached, saying, I'm doing my duties towards my family. But in the process, that person is not detached to the family, is extremely attached to the family. So that family becomes a source of misery, or the work becomes a source of pain or sorrow or suffering.
Even
But
selfish and non-profit activities also. You may be thinking we are doing and we are in the process of sattvic, but that also unknowingly we get attached. We have to be very, very cautious at
yeah,
very.
yeah. So getting attached to an activity that you're doing, thinking that is the best and there's nothing greater than that. So you're not able to see the other side of life or other side to things. For example, you also spoke about spiritual bondage. A person can uphold my path is great, my guru is great. A Vaishnava will say Vaishnavism is great. A Shaivite will say Shaivism is great. And in that process, they are bound to that path that they are practicing, or to their guru, or to that belief, or to an institution. So, in that sense, it can be binding if it's not leading you to anything higher. If it doesn't, as we say often, if it's done as an end in itself, it's a bondage. Whatever you do is a bondage. But the moment you do it as a means to an end, that very action becomes liberating, and you are transported to the higher level, isn't it? So, indeed, a very, very, very fascinating topic for discussion, a very fascinating topic for self introspection, and it brings, with a couple of them contributing, you can see the beautiful dimensions that are unfolding. You can, I would really like to perhaps bring out a booklet on this. It's something very fascinating. So many times, so many of these thoughts keep coming. Uh, we could always do so much to put something and print something, not again to say I have done it, but just to capture these special efforts, that they you can one as a sadhak one can fall back on. But it's a very, very enterprising topic for uh, to see. In fact, it can be a very beautiful topic for self-assessment.
Workshop also, because this is a
Workshop, absolutely, workshop as well.
applied philosophy of great relevance to what like, because many people say Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. They get into a lot of activities, but that's again on deeper thinking, it is karma, and they get attached to it. Same way, people, always say nature is, they say nature is God, and they keep traveling. They are in the forests, or they are in mountains and all. They go around, but sometimes it is also sort of what we can call, say, they are indulging with ice.
Yeah.
So it's
Indulging.
not only
Some people are indulging with the ears. Any concert happening, they'll go and sit there for 1, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, all that time running behind music, music, music. I'm not against people who appreciate music or those who do it. You're attached to it. You can't think anything other than that. See, attachment limits us, binds us, it restricts us. So you think that is everything. So certainly, Setuji, maybe we can conceive a beautiful workshop, and I think high time we put up a beautiful workshop in the ashram. Maybe we can revolve around this topic, and we'll really conceive something soon. In fact, we'll make it happen. So thanks for that thought. So how much ever contributions you put into this, you feel there's still so much that can come out. That's my point. And I haven't heard from many others. Thanks, Etuji.
mundane level bondage to objects and kith and kin is the highest.
Yeah.
Very basic. Most of the world is in that
Level.
with profession. This these
Yeah. if I allow Setuji to talk, there will be no workshop needed. So we'll have to please mute Setuji soon. Vasantama?
Hari Om Guruji. I don't know, I think all the points have been covered, but I felt certain from the relative point on, we feel that I think bondage is because we depend on others to satisfy our love, selfishness. For our own needs, we try to bondage happens because of that. We expect others to love us. We expect others to appreciate us. And so we get bonded in that way. And
So you're bound by your own emotions and thoughts, right?
Yes. Guruji.
So where would you park that? Relative or absolute?
Relative.
Relative. Perfect. Yeah.
Absolute would be feeling that the sense of self-sufficiency, being independent for emotionally.
Where would you park that? Sorry.
Relative.
Relative liberation.
It's a
relative
little
liberation is you're self-sufficient. Yeah, you're not.
You don't depend on others for all the love and emotions, and that's itself a liberation, a freedom.
Yeah, very
You're
interesting.
liberated from that selfishness, that
Dependence.
bondage, dependency on others. And in the case of bondage, you're not identifying with the other person. Self, all are Ishvara. That is absolute level. Everything is samatvam. You're not able to give love to others unconditionally without any expectations. That doesn't happen. That is why we are bonded. But the moment you start loving others unconditionally, you're liberated. You feel so free, your mind is free. There's absolutely no bondage in your mind itself. And another this thing I thought was inequality.
Inequality.
We don't see the samatvam. We see, you should be able to see Ishvara in everything. Ishvara is there in every item of the world. That samatvam, then you won't have bondage. That is the absolute level, of course. And it is, I don't know how to sum it up, but that's what a few of my thoughts, Guruji.
Well, you see, you can't say that after spelling out so candidly, you can't say, I don't know.
Others have given even better.
No, you're very humble and very, again, a few interesting takeaways from what you have said. I would want to listen to this recording again. There's so much to pen down. It's
You have given us all this, Guruji.
It's sadhana. It's all now not about from where it is coming. It is all about manana, chewing the cud, is trying to pen down these finer aspects because it's not, though I got to scribble a few points this morning in the satsang, in the sadhana this morning, I scribble. But as I said, you can exhaustively do a work on this thing. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ma.
Like with the research student Pushpama, we can write a thesis.
No, I need to take appointment with her and to
She's
please
a PhD
share,
student.
please share some
She's a
research
PhD
notes. PhD
professor. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Soumyama sent her inputs, which I really appreciated, which also she shared the similar lines, what you all have shared, Any more? Subhashji, would you like to say something? You're always a very quiet man. Any thoughts to share?
नमस्कार गुरुजी, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
हरिओम। गुरुजी, बस इन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है, सेतु जी ने, उन दोनों ने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है, तो आई डोंट फील दैट आई एम दैट मच एबल टू से एनीथिंग, बट यस, दिस जो बॉन्डेज इज बेसिकली बिकॉज ऑफ आवर कार्मिक एक्यूमुलेशंस जो हम करते हैं, दे आर बाइंडिंग अस अगेन बिकॉज of our karmic actions, जो हम do what we are doing, they are again binding us for our rebirth and all these things. And so this is basically the karmic bondage, basically. So to get liberation, to get moksha, we have to be very much discriminative in nature. We have to find out what is real, what is unreal, and then only we can think of that what Vasantama said, that we have to be loving to everyone in without any attachment or without anything. So these are the some points which can give us the liberation.
Yeah, indeed. So the new perspective is we are all bound because of our own past karmas, our own karmic consequences. But to be liberated, we have to put purushartha. Because of my past unintelligent actions, I'm bound to whatever I have. But if I put cultured effort, if I put the right effort now, purushartha, I'll be liberated in the future. Isn't it? Yeah, very interesting point. Thank you, Subhashi. Thank you. Namaskar. I know Madhivima is on incognito mode, but you have anything to say, Madhivima?
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Yes. No, when I was listening to everybody sharing their views, the image in very classic English literature of bondage is of a man just tied up in chains, and even the body is all scrunched up and he's bound in chains. And the image of freedom or liberation is of a beautiful bird just soaring up into the sky. So these very images itself, what would you choose? I mean, just looking at or thinking about those, that image of what the words represent: bondage, liberation. So the things that bind us here on earth, it is through our intellectual study we become aware of them. And then we begin to think of what it is that would then liberate us. So these qualities, begin with these qualities, then move on. So in our, in liberation is moksha. So this is what just came to my mind.
Yeah. So the pictures say more than 1,000 words, right?
Yes, yes, Guruji.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes. No, yeah, there we see you now. Okay.
Video wasn't on.
Yeah, I know it's all right. No, I can understand. Perfect. Yes. Thank you, ma. Thank you. Anybody else? Pramitama, any thoughts? We're missing the Mr. Poet, so the
Hari Om Guruji.
yes, ma.
I'm just staggered actually because there's so much to learn from everybody, and it fills my heart actually to be able to be, with all of you and to hear from each one of you, to learn and to share, because these are such very human experiences, and I'm still very new in the class. So, I have so much to learn and to catch up on. And the truth is that I do struggle because, I grew up with the idea that if you perform your duties and you perform them well, then, and you're passionate about these things, then that is the correct way to go about it. But, the truth is that I have suffered a lot of pain, as a consequence of my passion for duty and to family and to career and so on and so forth. So it's very much a learning curve for me now to understand better why I have been suffering all these years, and perhaps what I need to work on to be able to help myself, to lift myself up from that. And that really is the difficult part, I think, is because it's a very fine line, Guruji, yeah? Because, Basantama, the point that she made was a very helpful one actually, about love, and, being loving and compassionate is very much something that we grew up learning as a very important quality, to love all, to become compassionate to all, but in that process, we naturally tend to be attached, and to develop attachments. You care so much about people or even animals and so on and so forth. So, these attachments sometimes can cause you that kind of suffering and pain. Now I understand why. But sometimes it's a very fine line to know where to draw that line. I think this is what I struggle with still, still very much a learning curve. But thank you so much for all of you. So much to learn. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. I can, from the little I have known you and interacted, I can relate to what you say, not to making it as a personal angle, but I can understand how you can perhaps, you can see how relevant is discussion to the phase, if any phase of life one is going through.
Yes.
It has a relevance. That's the beauty of this knowledge. And you were talking of that dividing line, that mark that makes the difference, that mystery line. That, in fact, if you ask me, that mystery line is this wisdom. The moment you have the silver lining, as you may call it, the moment your action is driven by wisdom, to that extent you're liberated. So what you don't need anything else is like a light in a dark room. It can be scattered, it can be messy, but the moment you have light, you can find your way path through that messy room. You don't have to organize and streamline things outward. Bring the light within. You will be able to navigate yourself through all the mess in the world. So we get caught up because of that lack of clarity coming from the wisdom,
That's right. I think one of the statements that you made earlier, Guruji, is something that I suppose this is the one that we have to always check our any actions or thoughts against that, which is that when you have to examine what is it you're doing something, what is the means to what end, right? So
That's a
I
very
guess
important point.
I guess with any action or reaction or thoughts or plans that you make or have in your life, if you were to check yourself against that, is it safe to say then that that is a good starting point, Guruji? Is
Which
that a
one?
good way to to examine any action or thought or plans that you make and understand whether what is the end towards which you are working?
It sort of becomes, sorry to use the word, it becomes a redundant question. It's like saying, I've left home not knowing where to go. Would you ever do that?
Yeah, I see. I get your point.
When you
Yeah.
leave home, you have a destination in mind. You might want to go to a supermarket down the road. You may want to visit a relative. You may want to go to the club. You may want to go to a mall. You may want to go to a restaurant. You may say, I just want to take a drive. But yet you have in mind that I want to just go for a drive. There is a destination in mind. There can't be any journey without a destination. So how can one plunge into an action without knowing what is the end? It almost seems blasphemous. It almost seems ridiculous to approach life without knowing what am I seeking in life. That is the lack of wisdom, I mean. The moment there is that clarity, then this action is only to get me there. To that extent, this action is serving that purpose. This relationship is serving a purpose. We are in a relationship. What is the objective of this? Oh, yes, this classroom, this satsang, this wise counsel is leading me to give clarity to take me to that ultimate goal of self realization. At least there's a platform which reiterates that point. So I will associate with it until it keeps reminding me of that goal because it echoes that goal or that purpose in me. So to that extent, this platform, this association serves a purpose. It uplifts me to that goal. Otherwise, we're just talking and talking of no direction, no purpose. It's not a purposeless dialogue. So that clarity will and should come, and it will certainly come when one is endowed with wisdom. So everything thereafter is just a means to an end.
Yes, that has to be the compass, I think,
It has to be a compass. It has to be the thumb rule, I would say.
Yeah, because
You
otherwise
do the
it's so
thing.
easy to sort of get difficult to extricate yourself sometimes from the emotions and,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a mess. Then
Um,
it's almost like getting stuck in a quicksand. You are getting
mm.
sucked into it deeper and deeper. Perfect. Thank you, Ma.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Guruji.
Thanks
Yeah.
for being open. You know. Yeah. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Radhe Krishna is saying we are bounded by anything that we have not experienced at its fullest. Once we experience anything fully, we will be definitely liberated from it. Not sure. I don't know what you're stating, but you may experience having a family and you can be bound to your family. You know, you may experience a beautiful thing and you're bound by that experience because when you want to experience much more of it. So I really don't know how it applies, but please do ponder on my comments. Can we say, Soumya asked, bondage is misunderstanding concept of who I am, liberation, recognizing, yes, indeed, from an absolute point of view, you could say that, Soumya. Any thoughts, Gayatri Ma? Anybody else, please, most welcome.
Many of them have spoken a lot, Guruji, but for me, it will be some sort of a repetition. For me, at the relative level, is where our mind and the intellect is bound, whether it is conviction or whatever it is bound, where we bind ourselves to the situation, whether to attachment or whether we think it's an obligatory duty or whatever it is, we bound ourselves. Unable to let go of things is something like it's a bondage. And
Like example?
some
Hello.
may have family, some may have corporate life, some may have their own material things.
I wanted to just hear that. Thank you. I got the answer. I am very satisfied and contented now. So no problem.
And the liberation is the only thing is if you are able to control Asanga
What is
Shaktrena,
the liberation?
Asanga Shaktrena, if you are able to cut throat with the, like sword,
Acts of detachment. Yeah.
if not, at least accept
That's very
yourself.
good.
Yeah, if not, accept yourself and go through the phase that as a obligatory duty and surrender to the God or have patience with yourself and go sail through the process. And for me, absolute level is something like liberation is in contrast with the bondage. So there is neither bondage nor liberation when you reach that stage of liberation, when you stage that state of realization.
Mhm. Good. We were laughing because there was a discussion that happened between me and Amma yesterday. So we're just laughing about it. Right. Perfect. UK, any thoughts?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar.
Guruji, how will a person know how much he is bound to something, Guruji? Like,
I thought you were going to answer. Now you're asking me a question.
no, as I heard all
Yeah,
the discussion and all,
yeah.
this was playing in my mind. A person who is bound may not be able to realize to what extent he is bound to that. So this wisdom will definitely help you, Guruji, but at the same time, sometimes like when your duty is dharma, as she said, Namita Ma said, you feel as if that is the main purpose in your life and you will tend to be bound by that. Or your attachment to your profession. You will be so focused on your profession that you will be bound to that. But how will a person know that this is a limit I can set? Or
It is impossible to know. That is where you need a guru to help you. The great Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he was worshipping goddess Kali.
Yeah.
And that elevated him to that height of spiritual state he attained. But his guru Totapure,
Hmm.
realized that he was completely attached to that idol. I'm giving you a reference. And while he was in prayer, he walks into the altar room, takes a hammer and destroys the idol in front of his student while he is praying.
Yeah.
If the Guru did not do that, the great Ramakrishna would not have attained moksha. The Guru knew what that student was attached to. So you will not know, you may know academically, but you will not be able to
Yeah,
liberate yourself
absolutely.
out of your attachment until you have a guru in your life whom you allow to enter
Yeah,
into your life
exactly.
and knock at you and say, stop that nonsense, get out of it. And I can't think of any student, very few, who will
Allow.
allow. It's
Exactly.
because of you asking of a student or guru, I'm talking of our relationship. I don't know any one of you who'd allow me to come into your life and knock at you and say,
Yes.
stop what you're doing. And I would not do it
Unless,
because you have closed your doors.
yes.
I will not. And yeah, and I'm not dumb enough not to know. And I know exactly, to the extent I've known you all, I know exactly what you're attached to, what you're limited to, what's holding. But I don't want to play that role as an appointed guru sitting there and trying to address and correct others. It's a sort of respect you call me as a guru. Otherwise, I could be I could be a friend, I could be a fellow seeker, I could be an acquaintance to you.
And you're doling out enough wisdom for us to.
That will not help.
That will not help, Guruji. That's true.
It's like a person who's acquainted with medical books vis-a-vis a qualified doctor who is practicing medicine. There's a world of difference. What I teach is giving you acquaintance of this philosophy. You will be well versed in the Shastras, you can be well versed in scriptures, you can be so well versed in many things, but you will not be able to practice it because there's a difference. See, it requires immense sadhana. I'm not saying you're putting it, but in answer to a question, would I know where you're attached to? Yes, you would know. Would I be able to liberate myself? No. You only need a higher authority, higher power to uplift you from where you are. It's like when you take a coconut to a temple, you don't remove the tuft and offer to the Lord. It's only the pujari that's allowed to remove the tuft. That is what is symbolic. Symbolic of taking out your last ego and revealing the self. Only the pujari does that. The verse in the Bhagavad Gita which says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma suchaha. The Lord Krishna in the Gita, he says, you renounce all your attachments and come to me. Drop everything and come to me. Then I will remove the last obstacle and give you moksha. The Lord says, I will give you moksha. You can't get moksha by yourself. But what you have to do, renounce sarvadharma parityajya. For what? For my sake, come to me. Think of me alone, renouncing everything. Aham tva sarva papebhya. I will liberate you of your sins and give you moksha. You cannot attain that liberation by yourself. You need a guru. That is a pivotal role a guru does. But a guru is not a ceremonial figure in your life. I've always said this, a guru should be where you pour out your challenges and allow him to guide you.
Yeah.
Many a time people come and they tell what they feel, they don't ask. And I keep narrating this experience of mine in my initial days of the ashram. I happened to go and sit with Swamiji wanting to seek his opinion. But I went and poured out what I had to say, and he quietly got up and left. I thought he went out to use the washroom or something to send somebody. 5 minutes, 10 minutes sitting, he doesn't turn up. I come out, I knock at his room, and he's gone back to his room, and he's quietly enjoying reading the newspaper. I said, Swamiji, I'm waiting for you there. I thought we have done, isn't it? You wanted to say something, you said I heard, and there ended the matter. I did not know you wanted my opinion. You were sharing your views. I heard. Yes, Rak, good. That's all he said. So you should seek, and no man worth the knowledge will intrude into your lives and tell you what to do. And the moment you do, you have lost the value for what knowledge you have. Therefore, knowledge is always taken, never given. As a parent, you don't give your knowledge to your child. All the time, parents are telling a child what to do this, do that, sit this way, don't do that. If I don't do, who will correct them? They don't want your advice. They just say, get out of my room. I don't want you in my life. Because suffocating. Parents are suffocating their children by giving knowledge unasked for. Unasked for. You can see the drama rehearsal going on in every household. Every day, every moment to moment, this tamasha goes on, and we make a fool of ourselves and destroy the child. Just let them live their lives, even imperfect as it may be. Why can't you be an example for them? We will not do that. Any amount of knowledge will not do. We'll commit the same mistake again and again and again. See, knowledge should always be taken, man. Don't give it. So, Guru will not give. So, you cannot come out of your attachment unless you surrender to a Guru. What restricts you is I know. Ego, your big fat ego will come in and will not allow you to. It will not. And until your ego is there, nobody will say, okay, you think you know, carry on. I don't want to. No, you're not. The moment one has ego, you're non-adhikari. No Guru will waste his time on you. Nobody
But it can
will know your
be
word.
some kind of a hesitation, Guruji. Some, I mean, that it's too, you're ashamed of it or you're embarrassed with it that you cannot share with somebody.
The moment you are helpless, that's when help will come. The moment you think you can take care of yourself, no help will come. Again, it's sense of ego, you know. How can I tell what it is? Yeah. Again, what is holding back is one's own aham. How can I say this to somebody? You know, that kind of that ego only is holding you back. But a child has no ego, you know.
Yeah.
Even a child has a mistake, he comes and opens up. You know. I'm glad you asked the question because it's not if it's that easy to be detached and keep moving on, then you don't need a guru, you don't need knowledge, you don't need a shastra. Each one of us can just keep marching on. Most people are running in a
circle, Guruji. Circle.
It's like, you know, we give an example, no? You tie a rope around a mule or a goat, and then you say, free to go. How much liberation that the mule has got?
Only
the
to
length
that
of the
extent.
rope.
Yeah.
It can have 5 meters of rope.
Correct.
It is free only to that extent, but it will be running only in circles and then 5 meters. Everybody is doing that. You don't realize that. So you need to have a higher authority to say, you got to eject from that gravitational pull.
Yeah.
The gravitational pull is attachment. That's when you take off as a meteor, as a rocket takes off, and then you're in orbit, different orbit. But everybody's stuck in a radius, somewhere stuck.
And they give different names to that, Guruji. Like it's my dharma, it's my duty, it's how can I give it up?
Celebrated attachment, it is. You're celebrating attachment. Ignorantly, one does it, not knowing. You know, Ramatirtha says, sorry to be saying in the context, Ramatirtha says, just because if you have given birth to a child, you have done nothing. You have educated the child, done nothing. You have got the child the best degree in the world, done nothing. You have not taught the child how to live life. You have not given this Atma Vidya. You are incomplete as a parent. So I don't know whether I'm successful as a parent of giving Atma Vidya to my child. I'm giving Atma Vidya to the world. Am I giving to my child? I don't know. So a lot is demanded even from a parent.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's true.
So we are bound in that duty of parentage,
Yeah,
parenting
yes,
my child,
Guruji.
and in
Yes.
the process, I destroy my child in my so-called means of
True.
educating my child.
Very true. Very
I
true.
tell you, it's such a sad state.
But then, do we leave it like that? The other person has his or her own vasanas or karma or whatever it is, and he or she will discover on their own their path in life.
Till now, they have not discovered. So at least let go.
Ah,
Hopefully, they'll discover.
that's what. Just leave it at that, and
The most difficult thing is to let go. How can I?
yeah.
If I let go of organization, what will happen? If I let go of my child, what will happen? If I don't do, what will happen? Nothing will happen. All good will happen. One has to let go. Not easy, but one has to let go. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, ma. Thank you. Welcome. Setuji, any addition?
Hariom Guruji, earlier in our class, you have taught us this addiction also is a bondage. It's attachment. So those people who are addicted, you told they come to know how there is a method of finding out how far they are addicted. See, people are addicted to sugar, coffee, and liquor, and all. In the case of liquor or any of these things, the addiction is, we come to know the extent of addiction is when we get, everyone says, I am not addicted. And I am, everything is under control, and I know I can stop anything whenever I want. But the addiction starts, this discussion happened long time back in our class, neutralization, talking about all that. That addiction, you come to know when you get excited about it. People who take liquor, the moment evening comes, they get excited. So excitement, sweet is there. You get simply you forego everything and you go for it. So that excitement and longing for it, craving, all this indicates. See, now I am on retrospection. See, I am little dependent in our house on a cook, on a servant maid, and a driver. So we are at a comfort zone delegating, and when they don't come, we get upset. So now I always used to recollect my olden days. My mother, my father's sister were all with us. At whatever age they were, they didn't want to depend on anyone for anything till the last breath. So they used to be always active. Now I understand that maybe they don't want to be bonded to any individual for anything. See, Swami Tattvadevidananda, once he told me, I said, he lives alone. I told, you have so many brahmachari, sishyas, he says. I said, I want to restrict their activity only to the class. I don't want any attachment with them. Instead of they taking care of me, I have to take care of them. So, so he wants to cook himself. He wants to call them only with a purpose, but not they should hang around him, serving him. So I think this you have narrated this not in the larger sense of bondage, but addiction is also so
Yeah, context. Yeah.
deeper to some extent we come to know.
Thanks for that reminder, Ji. Now, as you all have noted, a lot has been said. A few points, perhaps, to mention. Obviously, I'll not repeat what has been said. The at a relative level, the bondage of how the bondage expresses. This is apart from what is said, so I'm not repeating it. The bondage expresses as unknowingly we say I and mine. throughout our transactions with our world, we constantly keep saying I and my. So the I, how does I express? I express in the form of the doership and enjoyership attitude, the kartrutva bhavana and the bhoktrutva bhavana. Kartrutva bhavana is a doership attitude. I am the doer. I am doing this. And then you say, I am the enjoyer. So you are bound to the action, what you're doing, and you're bound by the fruits of your action that you're enjoying. At the relative level, you're bound by I and my. I'm repeating. You're bound by I and my. And the I expresses as the doership attitude and the enjoyership attitude. The doership is the kartrutva bhavana, and the enjoyership is known as the bhoktrutva bhavana. And the bondage, which expresses as my, it expresses as the possessiveness you develop to all the possessions. You may have a job, you say, my job. You have a family, you say, my family. You have an industry, you say, my industry. You have anything you do, if you have an ashram, you say, my ashram. So that kind of being bound to your possessions. So the I and my both fall under the rajasic category. Again, I'm not repeating what was said. Like you're bound by your own feelings and thoughts. All that has been said. I'll not repeat it. I'm only saying what has not been said. So bondage at relative level is bondage of I and my, which is doership and enjoyership attitude. My is all the possessiveness that you have to your possessions. My opinion. That also is the thing. When you are talking, you obviously talk of your opinion. You can't give others' opinion. So why do you say, Guruji, my opinion? That also is attachment. My life. Obviously, you are talking about your life only, not talking of a stranger's life. So unknowingly, that I and my is so much expressing. So it's not that you don't use the pronoun of I and my, but it's just being mindful. Am I bound by the thoughts? That sense. Rajas. Tamas is you're bound by your ignorance. Ignorantly, you're doing so many things and you're bound by it. And this Rajas and Tamas at a relative level thrives when you don't have a higher purpose in life. When you don't have a higher goal or higher purpose, the bondage thrives and you get stuck to it. And such actions are against your conscience. So they are devolutionary, demoniac. Rajasic and tamasic actions are against your conscience. They are devolutionary. And last, which I already mentioned, which is they are all done as an end in itself. That is, at a relative level, bondage. At the relative level, liberation is to operate with a spirit devoid of doership and enjoyership attitude. So you are doing that action without the I am the doer, and you're not holding on to say, I am the enjoyer, I must enjoy the fruit. So you're acting without that doership and enjoyership attitude. And when is that possible? When you operate in a spirit of yajna, which Setuji mentioned passingly. He didn't elaborate on it, but he's passingly mentioned. So when you act in a spirit of yajna, you will be liberated from the bondage of doership and enjoyership. And that's when your actions become sattvic in nature. So when your actions become sattvic in nature, you are not bound, the element of my goes, you become a trustee to all that you possess. I've been provided with something. I am just a trustee. Trustee is what? Where you are entrusted with something for a larger good. So you don't develop I and my to it. So you become a trustee to all your possessions. I don't know who mentioned of it. You do what your dharma is in the right sense, not justification sense. You do your obligations backed by a conscience, and it's done with a means to an end. And the quintessential point in the relative level is you will have the yearning for liberation. You will have the desire for liberation. What is a yearning for liberation? Known as mumukshatva. The desire for liberation is known as mumukshatva. Mumukkshatva. Mumukshatva. So that mumukshatva, the desire for liberation, you will be strong. So you will be liberated from the rajas and tamas. So actions become sattvic. You will be acting with your conscience, and your actions are free from the rajas and tamas, and you will not be bound by your possessions. So at the relative level, bondage and liberation. At the absolute level, bondage is being bound to the body, mind, and intellect. So at the absolute level, you're bound to the body, mind, and intellect, and you're imprisoned in the prism of your body, mind, intellect. Just a diagram will help to understand what I'm saying. So when the pure consciousness passes through the prism of the body, mind, and intellect, which is formed because of your vasanas, there comes the creation of the jiva or the ego, which is the individuality, which is the conditioned consciousness. So at the absolute level, all of us are caught up in the prism of the body, mind, and intellect, which is created by your own vasanas. So your vasanas have created this prism, and all of us are bound by this. All of us. There's no exception to this. All of us are bound. And what does this bondage do? Somebody passingly, there was a mention of it. What does this bondage do? This bondage brings about the cycle of birth and death. Absolute level, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, yaha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. Bhajagovindam, Adi Shankaracharya says, repeatedly we are born into the mother's womb, repeatedly birth and death. When are we going to be liberated from this bondage, O Murare? So the absolute level, because of the bondage of the vasanas, we will be bound to this cycle of birth and death at the absolute level. At the absolute level, liberation is to attain that goal of self-realization. The concept of liberation at the absolute level is where you're liberated from the cycle of birth and death. And that is only possible when you attain self-realization. I'm just awed by the level of discussion that we had today. It's just so inspiring. Believe me, it is very inspiring. To be a sadhak of this knowledge of this path is inspiring. So I'm telling as a seeker, like as one amongst you, I'm saying. The difference between all of us is to what intensity you can take these terms. Every term can be taken to a different intensity. And interestingly, the fact is all of us are bound at the absolute level. All of us are bound at a relative level also. So how much can we strive to liberate ourselves at a relative level so that ultimately one day we all will be liberated from an absolute level. So absolute level, you can't do anything. Absolute level is a state. All what you can do is the relative level. When you do the right thing at the relative level, so what matters is what is your understanding of liberation at a relative level. That is what is going to matter to you most. And if you get the clarity as to what is liberation at the relative level and work on it, automatically you will see the effect of liberation at the absolute level. So to that extent, you're liberated from the bondage at relative and absolute. So the quintessential thing is your effort, which is liberation at relative level. That is where your focus must be on. Obviously, you should know the disease. Having known the disease, what is the remedial diagnosis you're doing to the disease, isn't it? And how diligently you're doing the diagnosis. And only when you diligently follow the treatment, the disease will ultimately get cured. So clarity as to what is bondage at relative level, have that understanding and put aside. And thereafter, embark on a consistent, meticulous, religious, almost a fanaticism to the sadhana. I will not let go of my time, of my space, of my domain where I will continue to put my effort. Sort of a bullheadedness you must have towards your sadhana. So liberation at relative level is that we must hold on to, and then you will see the results. Fascinating. I didn't expect this level of discussion, but thanks to you all for all the thoughtful inputs and also extempore inputs. I have to take a mention of that. Huh? Srinivasji, something is bothering your expression. Says it all.
No, absolutely clear, Guruji. In fact, when this question has been raised in the last week, I was trying to find a reasonable understanding answer for myself, but I could not get through. Whatever little studies which I had done from wherever sources, and the latest AI also is not.
I knew I was about to say that you would have asked AI also.
I asked AI also, and it is.
Sir, please tell AI what we learned.
No. There's reason. So anyway, there is a.
No, 1 minute, sir. I want to ask you a question. You can ask AI, but can you tell AI also?
No, it's a one-way traffic.
What is this, sir? I can't understand. I'm not interested in AI at all. Huh? So you please tell AI all what we learned, so AI can tell the rest of the world, sir.
So you can't tell to the machine can tell to us. So So this was really confusing. I left it and slept in the night because I was preparing for today's morning answer. But I think today's session was really mind-boggling,
Yeah.
and it has given a new dimensions to us because we've been chanting these words, bondage and liberation, but we really no clue out about how we can get out of it or how you can reach the liberation. But as you rightly put across, the bondage has been seriously as a disease, the liberation is in a medicine. So this can happen only when you have a spirit of yajna, both as you rightly said that a relative and absolute level, because we are not fully aware of where is the absolute level, but definitely when we address the relative level, I'm sure we can able to meet the end goal of the absolute
Level,
goal. So
yes.
I think it's a fantastic session. Thanks one and all who have contributed and added value to this. Even though I
Yes,
was a little
absolutely.
late for the session, but I could able to get
Yeah, yeah,
out of it. Thanks.
absolutely.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Guruji.
thank you. Yes, most welcome. I strongly recommend. In fact, I would request. I don't know. Maybe I would request Pramitama. If you could, I know Ushama will be doing takeaways, but I would want to request you to put this effort. If you can, under these four categories, bondage liberation relative, bondage liberation absolute. If you can create an Excel sheet for me and give all the points everybody has said, which would mean you would have to click 100 times the pause button and capture. I would want you, would you be able to do that? Perfect. This is apart from what Ushama has been wonderfully doing last few weeks, because Vasantama is handed over the baton because she's a little occupied. So Ushama has taken over her role to capture. Otherwise, Vasantama and Gayatrima, they do wonderfully the takeaways. So Ushama is doing. But apart from that, if I can just get as a gist, which could perhaps help, what I am only looking at is where we have all this content, where we will come up with a workshop. We will do a half a day workshop at the ashram on this bondage was a liberation. So it will give us a backdrop of all the effort that we have put in. If we can capture that, oh, I think we lost her. There's some technical issue at our end, but I think it will go a long way in preparing a document uh, for even my study and preparing a module, then we can improvise it and fine tune it. Because though we had so many inputs flowing in, to form it as a structured thing, it would really help me. So whenever you are able to, please help, and we will share it with the class. We'll share with everybody. It's not necessarily a personal document, but it will something that will be a helpful exercise. Okay, ma? Sure. Thank you, ma. Yes, Srinivas Garu, you want to say something?
No, I'll just try to speak to Shama and try to see that the whole conversation can be taken out. Same again, I'm going back to AI to get a printout of it, so that will be helpful for her rather than pausing each and every time. Let me try that.
Next time I'll talk to AI first and then talk to you later.
No, no, that will not helpful, Guruji.
Oh, that's not helpful. Okay. Then
That
we
is
will talk to you first and
the
then we'll
AI
talk to
is the AI is emotionless, so there is
emotionless.
that doesn't really help.
No, no. Yes, sir, certainly. Whatever input we can have, it will help.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. We will come back. Come back. Thank you. Though we didn't get into the text, but no complaints. No complaints. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.